awesome things will you show us, O God of our salvation, O hope of all the ends of the earth and of the seas that are far away. Dave Brubeck once said he got his rhythm from the horses. Raised on a cattle ranch in Northern California, this son of a champion roper was born into a world whose soundtrack was the clicks and clacks of hooves on the ground. Differing speeds, varied combinations and numbers of beats, a cacophony of rhythms and grooves. Later, Brubeck famously delighted that his band could play an entire set without ever slipping into 4/4 time. The Brubeck standard became 5/4, but there was nowhere he wouldn't go. Those beats filled his ear, and he put lots of them together into the same songs, with bass and drums and piano diverging into their own polyrhythmic jams, while somehow, transcendently almost, sticking together in the same tune. Today, the psalmist wonders at all the activities and noises and marvels clamoring in creation, and that somehow God is playing a song, a tune floating across rhythms of grace and generosity and power and joy. Somehow, more than merely novel or nice, this song is perpetually new, and it makes us new, beyond the limits of what seems reasonable or possible or real, with eyes and ears of hope. It edges us onward into a limitless potential for good and beauty we've not yet dreamed. This is the stuff of hope. Eyes open to new visions, ears to hear the beats of hooves of horses and so many other things, and hearts alive to new possibilities. So won't you stop and take a little time out with me? Just take 5. Stop your busy day and take the time out to see if I'm alive. The one standing by himself was praying thus: God, I thank you that I'm not like other people. Jesus is here, speaking among the crowd that is clamoring for an answer to the big question: when is God going to get God's way all the time? Of course, what they inherently mean by that question, what we often mean by it too, is something more like this one: when will everybody know, Jesus, that we are right and they are wrong? That you are on our side and against the other? Isn't that something we all want to hear from time to time, especially when feeling really down on our luck or really up with our own self-estimation? That we are right, good, in, better, best. And those who are different are wrong, bad, out, worse, the worst. Jesus compares that person who is so full of himself, who can only pray to God that he's so much better than anybody else, and oh yeah, God, thanks for making me so great. But Jesus lifts up another person too, a person who knows what he is, who knows that he needs God's mercy, who hopes that God can be gracious and help him to do better than what he's made life out to be on his own terms. The real wonder is that if we'll each come to God honest about who and what we are, we'll be met with the most scandalous grace, so outrageously undeserved, it'll make us new. And we can be free to be who we are and accept others for who they are. As a friend of mine often says, we can stop comparing our best with everybody else's worst and just come as we are, thinking what we do and doing what we've done, and trust God to meet us and greet us and make us new. So don't be afraid to speak your mind and stand up to speak your truth. A couple of months before he died, 10 years ago this December, Dave Brubeck reflected on his life's adventure with music in these words. There's a way of playing safe, there's a way of using tricks, and there's the way I like to play, which is dangerously, where you're going to take a chance on making mistakes in order to create something that you haven't created before. Any musician familiar with Brubeck's catalog will attest to evidence of this conviction being everywhere in his work. He was not a composer or pianist who played anything safe, always pressing the boundaries of what could be, beyond what anyone already knew about what notes and beats could do. Perhaps this fearlessness was born while serving during World War II in Patton's army. Brubeck told a story about a Red Cross truck pulling up to camp the night before a big battle was to be fought. He said the girls opened the truck and opened the side panel. It revealed a piano on a stage that lowered down. Someone said, "Is there a piano player here?" And Dave Brubeck played and inspired hope for the entire battalion. It got him a new job. He played for all the battalions that came through after. And after returning from war, Brubeck continued to press boundaries, this time in society, fearless as a jazz performer with a racially integrated band during the height of segregation. The Dave Brubeck Quartet was one of the first integrated groups to travel the country. And he told about one tour when he had 25 concerts lined up across the South. And he received a letter in the mail that said they would have to replace the bass player, Eugene Wright, who was a black man, in order to be able to play that tour. Later reflecting, Brubeck said, "We canceled 23 of those 25 concerts, and that was a blow because we all needed the work at that time. But if it was a segregated concert, I wouldn't play it." Dave Brubeck didn't end segregation. His music didn't heal all the world's hate and division that is now ours to fight in our own time. But he did what was his to do. Took what he had and dared to live dangerously in music, in business, in life, to create something that hadn't been there before. St. Paul wrote to Timothy near the end of his own life, "I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith." He didn't say he won the race. But with St. Paul and St. Dave, may we all be able to say that what we did was ours to do, and we finished. May the life of Dave Brubeck be a witness to each of us, an encouragement in faith, moving us to love one another, stirring up hope for us in our time. Change the score, and we will always be one and the same. Melody, harmony, one and the same.
Thank you.